Our guest joining us with us is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, retired defense expert. Arzu Kazmi is a journalist joining us. Dr. Hussain Thebo is a strategic affairs analyst from Pakistan, and Dr. Raja Kaisar Ahmad is a political analyst as well. First of all, let me go across to Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, you know, there is a place that armies play in any democracy, any country, but to talk about the role of how the forefathers have played a role, and, you know, bringing in religion and the religious identity into it, you know, here the Pakistani Army Chief appears to be doing nothing more than spreading hate amongst his own countrymen.
Definitely, Madhav. I have no doubt he's made a laughing stock of himself, primarily because he proves that in Pakistan, there is none other than the army. The entire world has, every nation has an army, but Pakistan is the only country where the Pak army has the entire nation to itself. It has either been governed directly by the army or remotely controlled. And therefore, Pakistan, which uses terrorism as an instrument of state policy, talking of two nations, it is embarrassing, just not, he's embarrassing his own countrymen, he's embarrassing even the Muslims across. And therefore, it should have been more prudent for him to be careful. And this kind of talks, jugular vein, this and that the Pakistan army is talking about and the chief is talking about, gives an indication that he probably has either lost his mind, he doesn't really know what he's talking about in himself, because he is, after all, the Pakistan Army's chief, and therefore he must be concerned of what statements he's making. The world knows what Pakistan is known about, and if that is what he wants the world to know, that what Pakistan is about, and he's insisting that the future generations will be proud of this kind of a culture and that we are different. What difference are we talking about? Religion is a very personal thing. It has nothing to do with traditions, culture, and talking about like this. I think he's embarrassed himself, he's embarrassed everybody, and the world is now quite clear that in Pakistan, they hate India and the use of terrorism, and that is why I think the Baluchis have whatever rattled them. And that is exactly what it can be seen from his speech.
Okay, let me bring in Dr. Hussain Thebo. Dr. Hussain Thebo, you know, there is this continuous need to bring up an anti-India narrative, and that's the only thing that keeps the army going and that keeps Pakistan going. And that appears to be quite evident from the statement of the Pakistan Army Chief. Otherwise, why would he need to, you know, address such an issue to those who are overseas Pakistani citizens?
First of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. And second, this is our internal matter. You have nothing to do with our internal Pakistan's matter. Which statement you are talking about?
No, I beg to disagree, sir. Partition is very much an issue on which affects India as well as it affects Pakistan. You say it's an internal matter for you, but it's an issue and a statement that if your army chief makes, there's bound to be commentary across the border.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm coming on. First of all, this statement not made by our army chief only. This is the statement of our Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah Rahmatullah Alayhi, who also believe in this two-nation theory. Qaid-e-Azam always quote these kind of lines when he was in Bangalore and he has asked someone Muslim to drink a water of glass, and he drank it the half of glass, and I asked the Hindu and requested Hindu to drink a glass, and he refused. So this is the difference between Hindu and Muslim from very first day. This is not only a theory created recently by our army chief. This is the two-nation theory.
So what is it if it's not propagating hate? What is it then? If it's not propagating hate against people of another religion, what exactly is the Pakistan Army Chief doing? So you're admitting that even your founding fathers and your Army Chief all continue to just spread hate. That's all they do.
It is just highlighting the efforts of RSS ideology and Hindutva ideology and what Narendra Modi is doing in Hindustan. This is the reflection of the ideology of two-nation.
No, so is RSS responsible for two-nation theory, or is Jinnah responsible for it?
RSS is responsible to killing the innocent Muslims.
No. Let's talk about the partition, sir. Let's talk about partition. Don't make blanket statements. Who is responsible for the two-nation theory? Is RSS responsible? Is Savarkar responsible? Or is it, in fact, Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah? State your stand clearly.
Indeed, Hindus, our Muslim, they are living here in Pakistan as well. But
Hindus are living in Pakistan. They are virtually non-existent, sir. Minorities in this country actually have increased in percentage terms. In Pakistan, they are virtually non-existent. harassed regularly, face the worst of hate crimes and brutal crimes. And the whole world has documented and seen those, and you're giving us lectures.
Gentlemen, let me tell you, today a Hindu person who is fighting election in sin against the very powerful Pakistan People's Party candidate, who's telling you there's no danger?
Wonderful that that person is able to stand. You want me to read out a list of people who've been brutalized in Pakistan? I can do that very well. And there's a long list of people who are running away and fleeing your country and want to come to India. But let me in fact bring in Arzu Kazmi. Arzu Kazmi, do you agree with Dr. Hussain Thebo, who says that, it is all wonderful for the minorities there in Pakistan, and that is why they are flourishing? He would have us believe that they are very happy the way they are in Pakistan. He seems to have forgotten the long list of atrocities that minorities, whether it is Hindus, whether it is Sikhs or Christians, have faced in Pakistan.
At all, because I know that minorities in Pakistan is suffering and they are facing a lot of troubles in Pakistan, and we are not helping them. Instead of that, we are just making a statement like our army chief yesterday said कि Hindu और Muslim अलग हैं, हम हर तरह से अलग हैं, हम हर तरह से different हैं. I don't understand कि ये क्यों नहीं समझते कि the religion is private matter, anybody's. किसी को कोई भी religion follow करना है, they can follow that religion, but अगर आप उसको politics में लाएंगे तो फिर यही कुछ फेस करना पड़ेगा. Secondly, I think that with due respect with our army chief, I think he is trying to divert the attention from Balochistan and KPK, because what we are facing there is more important. उसको ज़्यादा देखने की ज़रूरत है, instead of we just jump to Kashmir और भारत को बीच में लाना. तो I'm not agree with I don't know the name of that gentleman, but I'm not agree with him at all.
That's Dr. Hussain Thebo, but let me take that question across to Dr. Raja Kaisar Ahmed. Dr. Raja Kaisar Ahmed, it's nothing but a diversionary tactic. The entire impact of Balochistan, the lack of force of the security forces there in Pakistan and their inability to control the situation, that's all he's trying to divert from, is what the previous panelist says. Do you agree?
No, not at all. I do not agree, and I do not subscribe to this argument because you are connecting some dots which do not actually exist. And as far as the statement of the army chief is concerned, he hasn't spewed hatred. He has just stated a historical fact.
No, what is he spewing? He's spewing love then.
It's undeniable.
This is love. This is love for other religions. This is how he professes love for other religions. This is tolerance, according to you.
Please let me complete my argument. This division of two-nation theory, it's not just a very recent phenomena. It's a historical, cultural, and a primitive phenomena. I would rather. Please. I would rather urge you to read the book Indus Saga and the Making of Pakistan.
No, we are fully aware of our history, sir. The only point of dispute here, and it becomes a political dispute here domestically and perhaps domestically there in Pakistan as well, is when he says that this entire two-nation theory was something that only your forefathers fought for, and therefore he is putting the entire onus on Mr. Jinnah and other members of the Muslim League. Do you subscribe to that theory, that it's only because of Mr. Jinnah that the two-nation theory came into existence?
In fact, this dates back, further into the past. It goes back to Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. It goes back to the people like Maulana Altaf Hussain Hali. It goes back to the aristocracy of the Aligarh University who have had given this idea. You were just talking about Veer Savarkar. That's a very recent thing. But this two-nation theory, it has its existence and it has its origins into something which is very historical. And I don't know why it is bothering India so much, because it stands as a undeniable historical fact that.
Because sir, I'll just tell you the simple fact is this, that while in Pakistan there is so much of spread, this is so much love being spread by the Pakistan Army Chief, as you seem to be suggesting, that he's talking about the sheer differences and how two people of different religions can't stay together. But that's not what's happening here in India. And that's a very clear difference in terms of what's happened in Pakistan and what happens here in India on record. Let me bring in fact Major Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni on this. Lieutenant Sanjay Kulkarni would like to respond to this, because here, one of our panelists is speaking with pride that it predates Veer Savarkar, whether it is Aligarh Muslim University, Syed Ahmad Khan, where this theory of two nation has been floated. And he says, why is it bothering India when we talk about this? Would you like to respond to him?
See, Madhav, historically, Pakistan needs to accept that the instrument of accession got signed on the 26th of October 1947, and that entire Kashmir is part of India, and that is final. There is no denying the fact. So talking about it is incorrect. Now again, talking of the two-nation theory as propagated by Jinnah, that to give an identity to the Muslims, yes, if that was so, the two nations exist. And because of that, only there are two nations. But again, at this point of time, what you were talking about the minorities, from 18% of the Hindu minorities that existed in Pakistan at the time of partition, they are not even 1% today. And what kind of atrocities have been committed to them, and the conversions that are going on, and the kind of attitudes being shown to the women of the minorities in Pakistan. So Pakistanis themselves have to accept what is going on and therefore not take pride. I think it is this particular aspect which has brought in the economic problems that exist in Pakistan today. Today, you find the Financial Action Task Force putting Pakistan on the grey list primarily because the money laundering and terrorism. What does the Pakistanis need to be proud of this heritage in which they are using terrorism as an instrument of state policy? Would they be happy by killing Osama bin Laden, who is the mastermind for 9/11 just a kilometer away from the Pak Military Academy? Is that what Pakistan ought to be proud of? Definitely not. I think historically, for whatever the reason, if Pakistanis felt at any point of time, or Muhammad Ali Jinnah felt at any point of time that the Muslims required an identity, and they did get one, but not the way now it is convinced, and now the chief of the army staff there is proudly saying that yes, it is two-nation theory, that we are traditionally different, we are culturally different, we are religiously different, we are language-wise different, and therefore we demand a nation, and that is how we all ought to be proud of. I think world over the Pakistanis' passport, they seem sometimes they don't want to even show. It happened in Ukraine. We saw how the Pakistanis were brought from there by the Indian aircraft, primarily because they didn't want to show them that tell themselves that they were Pakistanis. I think it's time, and this kind of a hatred being spoken about by the chief of the army staff definitely does not speak well, because it only brings in animosity. It only makes the Muslims across very embarrassing by the kind of statements they are doing. Instead of bringing love and affection between the two countries, they are only bringing hatred, and hatred based on religion, based on traditions, based on language. This is not the way. I think Pakistanis have really gone off the mark, and that's not the way the Pakistani chief should have ever addressed, and making Pakistanis feel proud of this kind of a history.
Respond to that. Dr. Raja Kaisar Ahmed, respond to that. Several points that are being made there by the Lieutenant General, but at least one of the points, the percentage of minorities, just listen to my question. Since you are professing so much of love for people of other religions, and that's what you believe, just look at the percentage of minorities, down from about 18% to 1% in Pakistan, and the percentage has actually gone up to about 19% in India over the past several decades. That's a stark picture of contrast there.
One thing where I would like to correct you, that this 19% of the minorities at the time of partition, that included Bengal as well, which later on got partitioned from Pakistan and became Bangladesh. So when you profess this argument that the percentage and the proportion of the minorities in Pakistan have gone down, that's because of that fact. It's not that minorities have disappeared or they have been forcefully converted to other religions.
Sir, East and West Pakistan both had a significant population of minorities. If you're saying that all the minorities were only in Bengal, I think you're also being a little too liberal with the truth, Mr. Raja Kaisar Ahmed. Let's not get so liberal with the truth either. And the track record, the human rights record of minorities and their treatment is very well known to the whole world.
No. Please don't spread a historical fallacy, because much of these minorities, they were in East Pakistan, which later on became Bangladesh.
Yes, so that may have very well been the case, but there were a significant chunk of minorities in Pakistan also. And your panelists are also telling us, the fact that you have mistreated them, it was an equal proportion almost in East and West Pakistan. So let's not try and play with the truth, sir. Let's not try and play with the truth. Arzu Kazmi, there was almost no minorities in Pakistan in West Pakistan since independence. That's what Mr. Raja Kaisar Ahmed would have us believe. Would you like to respond to him?
No, I think it's his own opinion, but I am not agree with his opinion, because I'm in touch with many of the minority families in Pakistan, and I know how they are suffering and what they are facing actually. But I'm very unfortunate that my fellow Pakistani जो मेरे साथ आए हैं, they are not agree on this. इनको तो उनका साथ देना चाहिए, but unfortunately ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है. हम अपनी चीजें ठीक करेंगे तभी हम किसी को बोलने के काबिल होने चाहिए, but यहाँ पर ऐसे नहीं हो रहा है.
जी और अब क्या कहेंगे जो पाकिस्तान आर्मी चीफ ने ही कहा है, इसी स्टेटमेंट को लेकर पाकिस्तान में जो रिस्पांस है और जिस तरह से हम देख रहे हैं द रिस्पांसेस कमिंग इन, इट वेरी क्लियरली शोज दैट ही इज जस्ट ट्राइंग टू प्ले, as you rightly said, to divert from the Balochistan issue and also the internal economic strife that Pakistanis are trying to face today. Would you say that?
Pakistan has its own problems, definitely, and we are trying to address them. I'm really appalled. Why does it bother you so much? Our army chief has stated a historical fact which is undeniable, which exists in history, which is, he is not, polemical, or he is not saying something out of nowhere. And another thing, as far as our own things,
let me bring in Dr. Hussain Thebo also on that question. Actually, that question was meant for him. Dr. Hussain Thebo, end of the day, you have huge problems economically speaking in terms of feeding your people, your population. They're massive. The common man there in Pakistan is suffering. This is the only way to divert attention, by bringing up such kind of emotive and religious issues. And that's what appears to be happening there in Pakistan.
The same issue is facing by India as well. You are doing same thing. Why you are
not at all, sir? Not at all, sir. To the contrary, rations are available free to a large section of our population. In fact, most of our population.
What is happening?
Unlike the massive prices that the common man in Pakistan is having to face.
Okay, what is happening in Kashmir? What is happening? Muslims of India, a lady who
What is happening in Kashmir? Tell us. Please tell us what is happening in Kashmir. What is happening?
What is happening?
You tell us, sir. What is happening?
This is some kind of jail.
There is no jail. There is no jail. This is a figment of your imagination.
India.
Please don't bring up, old, stereotyped images of what's happened in Pakistan and what Pakistan wants the people of the world to believe is happening in Jammu and Kashmir. People of Jammu and Kashmir, mind you, have come out in large numbers and voted in this election. It's been a record-breaking turnout, and that's something that people in Pakistan perhaps would be very scared and concerned about. Participation in democracy, quite unlike what happens in POK, where it is just, a person who's planted there or selected to become the leader of that particular region. We have to leave it there, completely out of time. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Arzu Kazmi, Dr. Hussain Thebo, Dr. Raja Kaisar Ahmed, thanks so much for joining us this evening.